Here we have the new project. It's a Kawasaki KFX700, and I got this thing for pretty cheap, but it does have lots of problems. Starting off, mostly all the tires are bald, except for this rear one. And as you can see, the back plastics are missing. And the seller told me that it didn't have any spark. So when I went to check it out, I tried turning it on and the ignition didn't turn on at all, and it didn't want to turn over. But I still bought it anyway. Now, if we check the oil, it looks milky and dirty. Doesn't look good at all. Another thing, it's missing a whole bunch of parts. The brake lever's missing for the back. The little plastic thing that holds the key ignition and the lights. The back plastic is gone. The plastic that covers here is not there either. But I started digging into this thing to see what could be wrong. And I found that this little module was not working properly. I took my voltage tester and I put it on there, and the little starter solenoid was messed up. So I pushed the tabs in because they weren't making good contact. And now, as you can see, lights turn on. I bought a new battery for it. Doesn't have any air filter, has some pro taper bars, which is pretty cool. And when I opened it up, the spark plugs were wet with water, and the exhaust had a bunch of water on it. I'll show you the video. But yeah, let me start it up for you guys. As you can see, it does run and it is spitting out water. Now what I'm hoping is that this is only the rainwater that got into the exhaust and the engine and not the head gaskets. But oh yeah, has good pressure, so I don't think it's leaking. And it doesn't throw any pressure through this, so I do not think it's the head gasket. And the water pump also doesn't leak water, so I don't think it's a water pump. So I think the oil is milky because water got into the engine, which is why it was in the exhaust. I'm gonna take it for a quick spin and see what it does. Alright guys, so I just figured out the problem with the starter relay. So I took a look at the plug and it was pretty messed up in there, and I thought that was the issue. And I also looked at the fuse, but the fuse isn't broken either. And as you can see, if we plug it in, none of the lights turn on. And it was giving me issues because I couldn't start the quad. But I took a look at my other bike, and the other bike had a size 30 fuse, and if you look at the size difference, it's pretty big. So if you put in the 30 fuse and connect the starter solenoid, you can see the lights turn on and the bike turns over. So the issue was the fuse. The seller put a smaller fuse in there, and that's why it wasn't working properly. But now we got the right fuse size. And now we just gotta adjust the carbs and see if this thing works. Alright guys, so I just opened up the carbs from this KFX700 we have. And as you can see, the carbs are just in terrible condition. I assume they got like this from when the seller left it outside and let the gas in the carbs. You can see they're just super dirty and the jets are clogged up. I don't know how this thing was running. But yeah, we're gonna do our best to clean them up, and hopefully that fixes the issue that we're having with this thing on only being able to have 1/3 of power. And it's also shooting flames from the exhaust, and it's backfiring from the back carb as well. So we're gonna go ahead and clean them up. So I just got done cleaning the carbs, and as you can see, they look a lot better now. I cleared out the jets. Some of them were clogged, and I blew air into everything so everything's nice and clean, and I sprayed some brake cleaner, made sure everything was working. And the bowls are clean now. As you can see, they were just filthy. They had a bunch of dust and rust. And same thing with the carbs. They were super dirty, but the floats are nice and smooth. They close well, and as you can see, I cleared out these, made them clean. So now they're super smooth as well. And the bike shouldn't give us any more problems now that we clean the car. But we're gonna go ahead and put them together and put them on the bike and see how it does. I have fixed the other issue of the chokes on the carbs. They were stuck and they wouldn't open and close properly. But now, as you can see, they're both fully closed. And I had to play around with the adjustment, open them up, clean them. But now, they both open and close all the way. So now we can probably adjust the carbs because one won't be running richer than the other. Alright guys, so we just got done taking the four-wheeler on a few rides and it is still failing. Now, the issue now is that both the carburetors pop. It's popping through both the carburetors and the exhaust. And the four-wheeler does not want to run on the high power. But it does run good on the low end, and the jets are clean, so I know that's not the problem. I went through them twice. The chokes close well, and it only gets up there if the choke is on and I give it all the gas, but it still fails like that. I'll show you what it does. As you can see, it is popping through the carburetors, and right now it isn't popping through the exhaust, but it does pop out the exhaust once you're riding it. But I believe that the problems are the valves. Since both the carbs are popping, I think that the valves are not sealing properly, and that's why the compression is coming up and through the carbs. I think this is the case because when the four-wheeler is cold and they start it, it doesn't pop at all. But once it warms up, the valves expand, and I believe that it doesn't seal properly, and that's why it goes through the carbs. So we're gonna take the carbs out, and we're definitely gonna check out the valves to see if that is the problem.